In order to keep a plan, we must first have a plan. And we cannot strive after goals which we do not understand and for which we have no sincere appreciation. The better and wiser the person, the better the plan to which he can dedicate his life.
210 degrees, around 60
In
meters
these
from my
uncertain
position.
times, it is not entirely satisfactory to invest all of our hopes and dreams in the physical things around us. We may develop a business which will be swept away by changing times. We may build a social position which will collapse under economic reverses. In the course of years, the time will certainly come when we must ask ourselves how much we would be worth if we lost everything we had. The answer is obvious. Regardless of what we have,
150 degrees.
we are
200
worth
meters away.
what we are. Modern society offers us wonderful opportunities to become more as persons. The wisdom of 50 centuries is available to us. The noblest visions and dreams of the ages have descended to this generation as a whole inheritance. Most of all, under our way of life, we have the right and privilege to grow internally. Our minds and hearts are not censored, nor are we forbidden to think and speak according to our convictions. This privilege of growth is a fundamental of our freedom. And this freedom to grow is the answer to most of the problems that burden our daily living. We cannot escape problems by denying them or running away from the decisions which they require. There is only one permanent remedy for any critical situation. We must outgrow it. The moment we are bigger than the problem, it ceases and can never return. If, however, we attempt to evade a problem, it will come back time after time to plague us. Would it not, then, be wise to make growth our reason for living? Let us master whatever skill or ability is necessary so that we can do our work well and without fear or worry. As we grow, we also find that increased knowledge and understanding bestow new dimensions upon commonplace activities. Life is more wonderful as we understand it. We experience real joy in doing things well as we become skillful and self-confident. Most folks have many problems, some large and some small, some immediate and some remote, some reasonable and some unreasonable. Suppose you made it a career to go out and solve each of these irritating situations separately. It would be an incredible task, and you would scarcely have time left for the preservation of your standard of living. It is sensible, therefore, to seek for some solution by which many uncertainties can be clarified at the same time. This means that we must say to ourselves, what is the common denominator of our composite unhappiness? Why does this make me unhappy on Wednesday and that on Thursday? In fact, why does nearly everything make me unhappy? Is it not easier to bring ourselves into a constructive attitude, thus correcting many troublesome details altogether, than to attempt to struggle through each as a separate and unrelated incident? A wise man once said, "Change yourself and you change all." Problems cannot exist in a life that has clarified its own purposes. Naturally, there will be much work to do, but it will be meaningful and purposeful. It does not follow that wise persons are free from adversity or tragedy, for few can be completely wise. Even a little wisdom, however, prevents us from making new problems and gives us courage and patience to face such as cannot be prevented with a good hope. Rule 8. In this time of intense competition, it is well to remember the 8th rule for better living. Never intentionally harm any other person. Ruthlessness never bears good fruit, And those who sow thistles will reap thistles. No one in this world can have so many friends that he can afford to make one unnecessary enemy. Civilization cannot attain its natural goal if citizens continue to live by the law of the jungle. There are times when we are all tempted to return evil for evil, but if we follow this policy, we can never know personal happiness and security. To live by compromise means, in the end, we live with compromise. Each of us must be able to bear our own dispositions with a degree of dignity. We cannot do this if we know in the quietude of private meditation that we are rather despicable persons. Many prominent careers will not stand careful examination. Fortunes have been advanced at the expense of honor, and by a direct and intentional contribution to the misfortunes of others. With the passing of years, we must all look back, and there are hours which are heavy upon the heart and mind. In nature, there are laws which we cannot break with impunity. The code by which we live becomes the code which may cause our death. There is something inside of a man called conscience. Just what this is and why it is may be subject to debate, but there is no doubt that its small, still voice cannot be ignored. To go against conscience is to threaten mental balance, emotional integrity, and physical health. No one can be well and happy who is troubled by his own conduct. If we have no philosophy of life, we may take the attitude that we can do as we please regardless of consequence. This does not help much, however, for if there is no philosophy inside of us, we are already desperately sick, whether we know it or not. Repentance is a phenomenon against which no one is impervious. There comes a time in most lives when we must face the mistakes we have made and wish that we had lived differently. I have seen repentance bring with it sorrows almost beyond description. It is wiser and better to so conduct ourselves that our mistakes will be errors of judgment rather than crimes of the heart. If, then, we must make a decision between sacrificing some ambition of our own or contributing to the sorrows of another, let us recognize the virtue of unselfishness. Constructive impulses regenerate the body of man and give him new resources with which to advance his career honorably and with kindness. There is a streak of sadism in most human beings. If we are frustrated, weary, and problem-ridden, we feel that we are justified in being unkind. If we are hurt, we have the impulse to hurt someone else. We then excuse our own bad behavior because others have been unjust or unreasonable. Actually, there is no excuse for conduct which is not worthy of our own humanity. How do cooperation and honest dealings pay dividends? Can we forget that our conduct must be an example which others will be inclined to follow? If we want a happy home, we must be respected by the members of our own family. If we want our children to be good citizens, we must set them an example. There is no use in preaching honesty and then practicing dishonesty. Those who come after us are inclined to be like us, especially if they receive the constant preachment of our conduct. If, then, we wish to look forward to the simple, natural joys of living and long, happy years with which to close our earthly span, we must earn the respect and love of those who know us all too well. Happiness cannot come to those who seek it directly. No one can make himself happy, for even planned programs do not work out when the time comes. Happiness is a byproduct of good living. If we keep the law will keep us. If we live well, we will reap a good harvest. It is unfortunate to discover this only in the years of harvest. We may then find that we do not have that which we have not earned. Regrets are then unprofitable, for they cannot restore the damage which has been done. We may then say that if a man is willing to follow a careful program to maintain his physical health and efficiency, he should also follow a well-planned program to maintain the health of his mind and his emotions. He should live a life calculated to strengthen his faculties and to deepen his emotions. If early in life he resolves to keep the faith of his world and to accept only that which he has earned, he will live to know contentment. Rule 9. In our list of rules for better living, number 9 is beware of anger. In the same spirit, also beware of what we commonly call righteous indignation. Both have the same detrimental effect upon human disposition and character. Anger is loss of self-control. It is an excess of resentment expressed through ill-considered words and ill-advised conduct. It is easy for quick-tempered persons to become angry, and often the mood passes quickly, but the results can linger on. There is a school of thought that considers an occasional temper fit as a legitimate extroversion. We are not supposed to frustrate our inclinations, lest these accumulate and ultimately bring serious consequences. It is probably true that once temper has arisen in the emotions, not much can be done to prevent its expression. But why do we get angry so often and over so many comparatively trivial occurrences? Anger, like worry, can be just a habit. Like worry also, the pressures causing anger can be redirected and re-educated. The ill-tempered individual seldom realizes that his conduct is a detriment to the pattern of human society. Concerned only with the expression of his personal irritation, he weakens all of the natural bonds which should be protected and honored. He disfigures himself and diminishes the regard in which he is held by his associates. When small children are angry or have temper fits, one remedy is to place them in front of a mirror. When the child sees his own expression, he recognizes that he is deforming himself and destroying the beauty and charm of his appearance and manner. There is no way of misrepresenting oneself more completely than by indulging in a temper fit. It may be held that when an angry person reveals his irritation, he is not misrepresenting himself, but is actually telling the truth about himself. This is not a strictly factual observation, however. No one is angry all the time, and we bear witness to our own essential nature only when we are not trying to be good or bad. Both extremes depart from the normal, and man is best able to function efficiently when he is without intense pressures of any kind. In anger, we are likely to lose control of our words and our actions. We will resent moderating counsel and become more intense when we are opposed. Words have power and become deeply etched in the memories of our friends and foes. It may require years of patient mending to repair a situation caused by a few moments of emotional intemperance.